Hello everyone! Someone pointed me to this game, and after some digging, here is what I managed to find out about this upcoming sci-fi MMO. Project C is a persistent open-world multiplayer online game where players join clans and build societies on an abandoned planet brimming with wildlife, fascinating technology and adventure. Developed by an international all-star team from Ubisoft, Valve, Rockstar Games, Guerilla Games and 2K, Project C is being made to change how people perceive open-world online games. Very bold claims if you ask me, and as usual, check the links below this video for more information about the game. And Project C is a working title and probably won't be kept in the future. You can apply for pre-alpha playtesting on their webpage right now. Test stages are done in waves, which happen roughly once a month. And yes, the game is under NDA, so no footage screenshots are allowed to be shared. The game is built on Unreal Engine 4. But who are these all-star developers and where they are from? Darewise Entertainment is a game development studio in Paris, France, with a goal to revolutionize online gaming through shared experience with passionate gamers and cutting-edge technologies. Founded in 2017, Darewise has assembled a team of experienced developers who believe they can create long-term, meaningful social experiences for players and change how the world views online games. On their webpage you can actually see the core team and learn about games they were working on, like Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, Division, Call of Duty, Black Ops, Far Cry, etc. And as you can see, they really should have enough experience in gaming industry to know what is possible and what is just a wet gamer's dream, as in the end it's not about finding the best ideas, but about implementing them. Also, their hiring list is quite big. As of May 2019, Darewise is a 30-people team. And the important part is developing the game with players extremely early on. Unlike Starbase and Frozen Byte, Darewise will involve players at the very early development stages, and at the moment around 100 players are testing the game and providing devs with valuable feedback in pre-alpha. Make sure that you join Project C official Discord if you want to ask questions directly to different developers, and they are actually answering them. Currently the game is being funded by private capital, and currently there are no plans on crowdfunding and nothing I could find out about monetization model. But if I have to guess, they will need a steady money income because of their intentions on creating fully dynamic simulated world. As Project C wants to offer players a rich ecosystem fun to discover and master, invest in a complex society driven by a community of players, create a second life and home for you to choose your own identity, with extensive customization not only for your character but for your home, group, clan. Also, they claim that all content will be available to all players no matter if they are paying or no. I personally would trust them more if they would choose subscription route. As we all know, those voluntary payments are built more on extortion principles. When players touch down on Corvus soil, and Corvus is a temporary name of the planet for players to explore, a lot of stuff is temporary for now, players can choose how they want to interact with this alien environment. Make the life you want for yourself. Unite with fellow pioneers to create the world you've always believed possible. And to make this possible, devs are developing gadgets and inventory to allow for deep player progression. Experience systems will come later. As a player, you won't be confined to one experience. Players will acquire different sets of equipment to accomplish different in-game opportunities, and equipment will be vital to the moment-to-moment combat, in-game tech and exploring the planet. Our first equipment sets are focused on crafting, fighting, trading and a variety of regions and biomes with resources to explore. Players will be able to improve their stats and efficiencies through tools and technical clothing. Devs want to reward player progression with new gameplay abilities and efficiencies. The main idea is that, like in life, you can do things by yourself, but building a house, for example, takes way too much time and doing it alone, or you might not know how to do so. That's why the endgame and more rare or hard to get stuff will be only achievable if you team up with others, so the game will require players to team up. Full, persistent society and a fully shared experience is their goal. Immersing yourself into a fantasy world can be a rewarding experience, and devs want players to feel the payoff, over and over again. Devs want commerce, crafting, economic decisions and in-game services to all be ultimately run by players. And to achieve that, devs will offer us a sandbox for political and economical intrigue. And we players will drive much of the content consumed in Project C. The most valuable stories told in games are those communicated by players themselves, about their own experiences in-game. players will have opportunities to specialize, progress and leave a legacy. There is voice over IP as well as text chat and direct messaging system between players to communicate. PvP is a part of Project C, but it's not a core aspect of the game. Cooperation is more important, and attacking other players will be something very risky. Death should not be too punishable, but item loss upon death is a possibility. The world is divided into regions with different governing rules. In some of them, typically the starting areas, players will be well protected. In others, it will be completely controlled and governed by players. Where you play defines how you play, basically. Players will be able to create and accept contracts from other players in exchange for in-game resources, and players will be able to use zip lines. Yay, I remember how much fun that was in Forest. Also, the game does not utilize a traditional hard class system. All specializations are equipment based. To power simulation in Project C, devs will use Spatial OS, which is a distributed, cloud-based platform for game development that integrates with and augments existing workflows, engines and tools, which is developed by a company called Improbable. By removing computational barriers to game design, Spatial OS enables developers to create previously impossible games that boost massive, persistent and richly simulated virtual worlds. So, Spatial OS lets developers exceed the limits of a single server or game engine. It allows for a swarm of hundreds of game engines running in the cloud to cooperate together to simulate a world much larger, richer and with more players than any single engine or server could. Improbable's cloud-based systems allow for off-system processing of certain elements of a game. The actions of players will impact the world as a whole. An example for a low-level creature in the game such as bees. The behavior and location of the bees will be driven by the plant life in the world, which is also simulated. Where plants are, bees will follow. Destroying plant life could allow players to essentially commit bee genocide, while leaving plants unchecked could cause an explosion in populations that could cause swarms of dangerous bees that in turn could make areas difficult to travel. Devs want players to have an impact on the environment, but also have the environment strike back at players when they are too aggressive. A world where you get in, you leave it and then you come back 2 months later and it'll be absolutely different. So, simulated living and breathing world is one of the main pitching points for Project C. Devs are going to give players a chance to make a strategic choice, and there is no good or bad answer. But it will definitely have an impact, good or bad, and the impact is permanent. Complex world systems and unique AI behaviors ticking away behind the scenes that will also react to the input of players. This might create a very interesting game world for players to explore and interact with. Devs promise that it's not the fake living and breathing, or like when you play World of Warcraft, you see these packs of mobs and their behavior is triggered once you get close to them. Here it's like you can just look at them and they live, they grow, they die, they feed, they reproduce. This reminded me of that guy who was following cannibals in the forest to see what they are doing, or my silly attempt to find out if NPCs actually travel between 2 space stations in Elite, which they don't by the way. But with Spatial OS it seems possible. It's really going to be very unique in terms of how the experience can be persistent, compared to what we've seen in the past. It's a depth of systems and AI interaction that hasn't been done in MMOs before, thanks to difficulty with technology and implementation. But devs think they are now in a position to make it work. Part of that is thanks to the game not being a traditional MMO. That is to say, not an RPG. Instead, it's a third-person action game that features different races with unique abilities that will mesh in interesting ways when players get together in groups. Wildlife and characters have weak points. An example, there will be damage multiplayer when characters are shot in the head, and at the moment there are no melee weapons. Devs want to avoid hard classes that players can't transcend. But they are aiming to create a system where players are rewarded for specializing in a particular thing, where cooperative play will involve different kinds of characters working together to unique effect. That's good news if you care more about PvEs and PvP. I admit, that sounds very interesting, and I'm always for new technologies in games. MMO genre has stagnated way too long, so I hope that at least one of these revolutionized projects will be turned into a full game eventually. Project C will be self-published. The work on project started around January 2018 with integrating Spatial OS, but the real work of the game has started in June, and obviously no release date is given, so do not expect the game to be released anytime soon. But devs want to keep working on the game many years after release. Therewise is a developer of a single game, and they even aim to make it a generational thing. There are two unique aspects of the game. The first one is the scale. It's one massive game world. So the scale is going to be important as the community is not split between servers. So in this world, you can go from one place to another. There can be different locations, but everybody can go there. It's not that you choose your own server and then you get stuck to being on that server. The second point is the simulation. Now, with CPU not being a limitation anymore, because of Spatial OS, Project C can have much more complex ecosystems. But there is another point, which is that devs are really doing a true open world experience. So, traditionally, an open world is always descending. You have one main core activity that everybody is doing. And then you have a few or a lot of side missions that are distributed around the world. So you have a strong incentive to explore the world and you get a reward. Project C is very different on that front, because devs are not making one core activity, they're making a lot of activities. It's really a game of freedom with a very wide range of activities that can really fit with a lot of different needs and emotions. You can have activities that fit with what you're after, and all of those activities are connected with social mechanics. So if you like farming, what you are going to collect as a farmer can be used by someone else who hates doing this, but might need that resource. This is very similar to what Dual Universe is aiming, or any other game where all players play in the same world. It's going to be an economy about goods and services. It's a resource-based economy, it's player-driven. And this is based on a contract system, which is kind of a mission design system. As a player, anyone can create a contract and say, go explore that part of the map and report to me what's over there. There'll be a system for you as an explorer to really match things on the map, tag things. You complete the contract, you get paid. And you can get paid with a lot of different things. If you're an explorer yourself, you need a vehicle to get there. Well, you can talk to a guy who loves to do mechanical engineering in the game. So it's not just a game system. It's not like 3 stone plus 2 wood equals AK-47, because that would be a system. But that doesn't make an activity, you don't really have gameplay associated around it. Now, to craft a vehicle, you're really assembling pieces and you can really outsmart the whole system and become the best engineer. I would really want to see that, how they implement assembling every piece and making it also fun. So players have to specialize if they want to become really good at something in particular. If you do that, then you might have a lot of people asking to buy a vehicle from you. The philosophy here is to allow players to experience most of game mechanics, and they might even include licensing here. But even if they do, the new players will be able to use basic vehicles from the beginning of the game, but if you want to drive the good big stuff, you'll need training. Economy is obviously going to be a major part of Project C. Players will be able to build their own bases, and there is a construction system in place right now. Building is influenced by games like Subnautica, Satisfactory and Minecraft. Raiding player structures is something devs want to support, and it's in the game right now. However, it can be frustrating to see the results of your work destroyed while you're offline. But there are solutions, like the stasis system they integrated, where all your buildings go into protected mode before being fully destroyed. So nothing new here. What is interesting is that Project C is not a PC exclusive. Instead, it's a completely device-agnostic title. Well, at least that is what developers said in one interview. Yeah, I really don't know about that, but at least we can expect multi-platform release. Right now they're running it on mobile using cloud gaming services, and from day one it's designed with that in mind. So it seems that we players might have complete freedom regarding where we play it, on our smartphones, PC or consoles. But if you want to join pre-alpha now, PC requirements is quite high. And VR is not supported for the moment, but might be later. Well, to make a single seamless world, where the entire community is playing together, obviously, there will be compromises made based on technology limitations and popularity of the game. But devs will avoid different game instances for as long as they can. Would I give my money to their device? Well, at the moment you can't even buy in. But even if we could, I would need to see some actual gameplay first. Can these developers deliver? It's always tricky to predict that, as everything is subject to change, and I couldn't find any information regarding their current budget. Unlike Dual Universe, where you can see exactly how much money company has. But their wise team is experienced enough to realize all technological limitations, and I'm always interested in projects that are innovative and from developers that are not afraid to experiment. And their wise is very open. Devs are answering many player questions in Discord. One thing worth mentioning here is that when Darewise first launched, it was meant as an executive producing company inspired by the film industry. Darewise would come up with strong, interesting game concepts and universes and collaborate with a development studio to create the game. Darewise realized the executive producing model may be incompatible with games because of how complex they are to make, so in late 2017 they changed their approach. If they wanted to make games they really wanted to play, they had to build an in-house development team. This is how, in 2018, a brand new team was formed and began working on Project C. There are some really interesting games in development and I wish them all well. Project C sounds very interesting though, and I will keep an eye on this one, but without investing my time or money, for now. In a year or two I might make another video about them and see how far they actually progressed. At this point they are at the very early stage of development and I will be surprised if the game comes out before 2023. Like, dislike, subscribe and tell me what do you think of Project C, are you interested or no? Are there any other upcoming MMO games worth looking into? See you soon.